What is up, Overwatch community? My name is Trypps, and welcome back to another episode of Watchpoint, the show where we go over everything Overwatch related. And we have a little bit of a special episode. We're breaking it up today. I know we've been doing a lot of patch notes and a little bit of talking, and then, competitive. And I just wanted to shake it up because I didn't want the show to get too stale, as well as the patch that was released yesterday. Although it did have a couple things in it that we will sprinkle on. It's nothing too huge as far as balance changes. But before we get into all that, welcome back to the show again. We're going to switch it up this week. We're going to say, welcome back, Vultcha.
Hello.
And Yiska.
I don't compute. Like, this order is like, is that me? I thought, like, I just remember myself, like, I'm the first guy to speak after the introduction. Yeah, so I don't even know my name. But yeah, hello.
Okay. So before we get into our special episode that I came up with an ideal for, I'm going to, it was me. The only real things to talk about, I believe there's a Zenyatta change that people are like, oh, God, it's super cool. Yep. I didn't really see it because I don't play Zenyatta, but you're a Zenyatta master. You want to talk about it for a sec?
I mean, okay, so I had this, I was invited to like a competitive Overwatch Discord. And basically, let's say you would, like, for instance, you were to find Hitler's brain. And you would put him into a robot, and the robot had special abilities. And coincidentally, apparently, this Overwatch competitive Discord thinks that's basically Zenyatta. You put Hitler into a robot, and that's basically him. Like, everyone absolutely hated him. Like, unreal. Like, basically, nobody had fun playing the game anymore. It was just the one comp. Coincidentally, the one team that actually enjoyed playing this was IDDQD, because they're wrecking everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's fun to win.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it wasn't also like the comp that was played wasn't cheese in the traditional sense, right? It wasn't like low skill and beating opponents. It was pretty high skill in most terms. Like, being basically won by having the better flankers, either Tracer or Genji. And that's pretty skillful, I guess. Then the others themselves do a lot of work. Okay, Symmetra, not the most skillful hero, but yeah. Like, in terms of individual skill, the comp placed on the teams, I think we're going to have a hard time having like a comp that expresses individual skill as good as this comp or this meta did. Now, then again, it really suppressed everything, And yeah, I wonder if Zenyatta is maybe a little bit over-nerfed by this.
Yeah.
We will see in the coming weeks. It's very hard to tell, but yeah, I think
so. I feel like you've been beating around the bush a little bit for people who didn't look at the change. What was the exact change?
So basically, both Discord and the healing orb gets zoned out after 3 seconds of breaking line of sight with Zenyatta. And for Discord, that's actually fine counterplay, I feel like.
Yeah.
It looked like basically it's Discord was orb of no fun, right? You get it put on you, and there's no counterplaying what you can do other than being a character that can get rid of it, like Zarya, I guess Mei, I guess Reaper. But yeah, a couple of others. Obviously, another Zenyatta could ult too. But yeah, I don't know. Like, that's being introduced. I think Discord is not going to take too much damage from that, because most of the time, 3 seconds, dude, the guy is going to be dead either way if he was going to be, right? For healing, that's a huge change.
Well, yeah, right? Just because if you just throw it on a Genji and he can go do his thing, whereas now you have to go like chase Genji down and like be behind him.
Yeah, and it offers.
Oh. Your mic just completely cut out. I don't know, man. While he is dealing with technical difficulties, we will hear him when he gets back. But as far as some of the other changes go, the only thing that was really added was the new map, Route 66. It looks pretty cool. I've yet to play on it just because of the way that the matchmaking goes, and it just throws you in random stuff.
Yeah, same here. I haven't played it yet. It looks cool. cool. It reminds me a lot of like TF2 maps. I know a lot of people are saying that. Reminds
Yeah.
them of TF2 maps. What are they called? Brown Water and Brown Rush,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
And the weekly brawl, which is basically for those of you who do not. I can't. We still can't hear you, man. Nothing. Dead mic. But for those of you that play Hearthstone, it's basically uh Tavern Brawl. It's just gonna be a random rule set every week. Currently, it is Genji versus Hanzo, and it's just you can pick either. It's not like one team is Genji, one team is Hanzo, and it's kind of. I mean, it depends. It's gonna be like, oh, this rule set sucks.
Test it.
Okay, we
Oh,
can
you're
hear you
back.
now.
All
Yeah, you're
right.
back.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
So I'm just gonna finish what I was talking about. Just
Yeah, sorry.
the rule set itself is gonna be like Tavern Brawl. It's gonna be good one week, kind of crappy one week. Another week, it's gonna be like amazing, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, the best mode ever!" Like nonstop ultimates or something like that, which is cool. It breaks up the monotony. Some of the other stuff, like they change play of the game, but we don't have to get into that. A lot of this stuff isn't going to affect anything as far as playing the game goes. A lot of it is like overhauls in the UI and the friend system. And there is a channel system. So I did want to mention anybody watching, I want to jump on and get a Watchpoint channel going so we can, chit chat and get people in to play some games, some fun, lighthearted games, not try hard games with some people. But did you have anything left to say on the Zenyatta? And then we're going to wrap up patch notes from there because there wasn't too much else.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's going to open up the meta, and most pros I've talked to actually enjoy playing again because that now the discovery begins again. What's good, yeah, and maybe a little bit of rock paper scissors will come back because the problem of the comp was it is its own best counter, and
Yeah.
that's obviously bad. That forces basically teams to mirror. Yeah, and I hope that's happening because of that change.
Okay. So that was patch notes. And now for the fun part. So when I tried to make an idea for what we're gonna do the show, the easiest thing that came to my mind was we each set out to pitch the next hero. And while as much as I wanted to, I tried to go for a country that wasn't taken up after getting stuck on an idea and yada yada yada. I ended up making a character from a country that was already taken, but it's not heavily distributed. So, but before I give mine out, does anybody else want to go first, or I can go first if not?
I wonder if I should go first because mine is so awful, and then the pressure is off, or if I should just like get a feel for what's what
Okay.
yours looks like, and then maybe I should even feel worse.
Okay, I'll
So I guess you should start.
I'll take reins, and I'll make you feel bad.
Okay.
Okay. So my character's name is. Let me get back to these notes. My character's name is Jijima, Gijima, Jijima. It is. She is a Omnic, and this is her backstory. Okay. Richard McGuffin was an engineer sent to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to work with Vishkar Corporation. One of their trips out to learn more about the culture in Brazil, Richard had a rare chance to visit the last remaining indigenous tribe of the Amazon. Bringing the tribe's food and water in exchange for research, Richard's group was able to gain knowledge and inspiration from their adventure. One of the females in the tribe stuck out to Richard. Jijima was her name. She took to Richard's watch like a moth to flame, pushing buttons and laughing when he could make the watch beep or flash different colors. Richard left Jijima with this watch as a parting gift, knowing that she might not understand how to use or read the numbers, rather that it would serve as a memento of their visit. Once back in Rio de Janeiro, Richard started working on a solo plan for his own personal Omnic. He could not shake the impression that Jijima made on him and modeled his creation after her. It was only after word passed of an uprising that he decided to equip Jijima with weaponry inspired by the indigenous tribe, in hopes that his creation would be able to protect him. After the initial attack, Richard was forced to evacuate and leave his creation behind. Jujima was able to hold her own in the battle, fighting off the attackers and even gaining recognition from the Overwatch initiative. To this day, Richard has never been able to go back to Brazil, and Jujima has no way of tracking down her creator. She resides in the Amazon while still not being able to answer questions that linger in her database. So that's her backstory, and her main fire would be a blowgun or a blow dart gun, and her alternate fire would be a blinding dart, which would add a new mechanic to the game, which would be a either total blackout or a darkening, like a gamma effect on the screen, and a item or an additional ability would be Ebola, which is like I believe there are like rocks or like balls on strings, and there's 3 of them, and they use them to hunt, and they usually like trip people with them when they throw them, and so it would slow someone, not completely stall them, but slow them basically to like a complete crawl to make them just caught out. And then her ultimate, because she's an Omnic, she'd be able to transform, just like basically like a transformer, into a jaguar, and it would give her the ability to have like a short pounce, a horizontal pounce, and the pounce itself would make her shimmer for like half a second. So like she would for half a second go invisible and then reappear. And there's a cooldown on as far as her leap goes while in the jaguar form. And that is Jujima, the Omnic from Brazil.
Okay. What was it ult again? Sorry.
Her ult would be that she transforms into a cat, like a mech cat, like a jaguar, and it gives her the ability to pounce, and she shimmers for like half a second. So like she would transform and pounce at somebody and shimmer, and so it makes her hard to track down as if she was in the jungle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Critique me.
I mean, let me think about this. I mean, it would be some, the ultimate is like from how I see the kit is like more like a Bastion situation, right?
Yeah.
Where the ultimate is not necessarily, bound into the kit. Yeah, it's not complementary in a way. Like, okay, let's think about this. What's a good example of this? I mean, for instance, Zarya has a pretty good synergy between her ultimate and her kit, right?
Yeah.
So she gets overcharged, she puts people to one spot and then right-clicks them for a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
While for Bastion, there's not much, like he doesn't set up his ultimate. He just gets it and then his playstyle changes.
Exactly.
I think that's for her too, right?
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah, I don't think we have too many of those. Actually, I actually quite like it because it also kind of requires to have different skill sets. Is she then a melee character in cat form?
In cat form, yes, she has a melee, and that's what I wanted, was more like a Genji style where you just lose a gun and you have to you have stronger melees, but you're inside, and so it's a change from her normal form being, because I think everyone in the game, even Genji, even though you think of him as like a ninja, he still has a ranged regular auto attack because it is an FPS.
Yeah. I think the general theme of, a robot then turning into or even just being a replicate of an animal is pretty cool. Like they should actually, that's one thing I thought, because Bastion's ultimate seemed so liquid. Yeah. I thought maybe because his his program was recalibrated when he was lying there for a couple of years, right? Yeah. And I thought maybe he recalibrated also that his ultimate could be that he now mimics nature, right? And that I thought because his ultimate state was so liquid still, with first having this mine and then going into this tank mode, I thought maybe it could have been something cool where it imitates, for instance, his little bird. Mm-hmm. I don't know what his name is.
I actually don't know. Yeah.
It's a cool name. some researcher or some anyway, and he could just mimic, that type of thing where he breaks the mold and wants to be this thing of nature, right? And I think that in general, that's quite a cool thing.
His little bird's name is Ganymede?
Ganymede?
Yeah, Ganymede.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know, yeah, but yeah, in general, I think that theme is very interesting because that's also something that Zenyatta does, right? Like break open this method of, robots, rational, and then suddenly spirituality. What?
Yeah.
With a robot? Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I always enjoy that.
The main thing that I wanted though was the blind mechanic. I think that it would be interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to I actually had toyed around with the idea for my thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually I have been playing the culling a little bit, and there you have pepper spray, and that's actually a quite interesting mechanic in the sense that because how melee combat works, and it's not as fast as Overwatch though.
Yeah.
But if you get pepper sprayed, your vision is gone for like a second, and then it gradually comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But this second can be vital, but it can also not be if you have awareness where your opponent was, and you can still block into that direction. Now, obviously, he knows when to push you back, which is the counterplay, but still pretty strong. And I think I still liked it. And also the blow dart thing is also probably one of the weapons Overwatch hasn't explored yet.
That's exactly what I looked for. I was looking for something like we don't need, I actually don't know what you guys have, so I could be treading on your territory. But like, why we have Reaper? We don't need shotguns. I was actually looking at like a light machine gun, but then I thought, well, isn't that kind of like Diva and Bastion? Like they're both like turrets, kind of. But I don't want to. We can continue talking before we criticize too much. But yeah, I was really inspired by. I don't know if you've ever played like Smite, Shablanka, and Rengar from League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the jungle cat, like that style.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize at the time that Lucio is also from Brazil. So
yeah.
Because doesn't he sound like Jamaican or something?
He doesn't really have any accent whatsoever. He has like sort of like techno dreads, I guess, that could like put him into like techno Rastafarian, but
yeah.
I have an African American friend that's basically him. So I never.
Does he always use rollerblades?
I guess not. But funny enough, he's like a coder for JP Morgan Chase is making mad money, and it doesn't match up. Like he had dreads and was making 500K a year. It makes no sense. But yeah, it's like Actually, he cut him off because that kind of at some point this really caps your career. It's like okay. Maybe having like I am stupid on your forehead also is not helping your career. So if you can help it with your haircut, why not cut it off? But yeah.
So you're saying I shouldn't get a teardrop
probably
tattooed on my face?
Is it? What is that for, by the way?
I don't know. Killing somebody or something.
Or being in prison or something?
Yeah, or like the line shaved into your eyebrows.
That takes so long to grow back too.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're getting off track here. Who wants to go next? Who has the guts?
I'll go next. My character actually doesn't have a name, but it's a sumo wrestler from Japan. This will be the third Japanese character, but fuck it. The idea behind this character was, so far in Overwatch, the skill-based characters are primarily about aiming and position and not about movement. There doesn't seem to be like movement-based high-skill characters. The closest would be, I guess, Tracer. That would be the closest. So this character is kind of like a quick movement type character, just to give a base. So this sumo wrestler, he has, for his abilities, they're actually stances. So he has one stance for one ability and another stance for the other ability. His one stance is pretty much like bunny hop mode. What he does is he'll bunny hop and circle jump or strafe jump to build up speed. And the faster he goes, if he maintains that speed, the faster he goes, the more damage his melee does. That's his primary mode of attack, is melee. He doesn't have projectiles, so he has to close in and punch. He either has like a punch that's slow that does high damage, or a bunch of small punches. So he uses the bunny hop and circle jump to build up speed, and the faster he goes, he does more damage. That's his one stance. His second stance is he can't jump and he can't move, but he slides. So he kind of becomes like a hockey puck, where he has no friction, kind of like in Tribes, and he takes less damage. So the thought here is you use the primary mode to build up speed, and the secondary one to like kind of slide into where the enemies are and maybe take one or two out, bounce off the walls, and like get out. And that's sort of the main idea behind it. Kind of a fusion between Quake and Tribes. Use Quake to get up to speed, and use Tribes to like kind of maintain that speed and make an attack. He'd be a tank character.
Okay.
And his ultimate would be similar to Genji's, where he enters a mode where his melee becomes something else, and that's like a tackle, kind of like a Reinhardt tackle. So he gets it in his ultimate mode, and he can, if he melee someone, he'll tackle them and kind of like tackle them to the ground and do very high damage, and then he'll exit out of that ultimate mode like Genji.
So but it's a sumo, like in the same sense that I'm imagining a sumo, and he bunny hops.
Yeah,
That's
a
hilarious.
bunny hopping sumo. Just yes.
Does he actually use his legs, or is it just his fat that keeps
It could be
bouncing?
either way. That would be amazing if it was just fat. If he just kind of like blubbered around like a jellyfish, that would be amazing.
Oh God.
He could
That's-
like belly bounce Roadhog.
Yeah, exactly. Bounce around.
That'd be best, bros.
That's an interesting character, I guess. So he has two modes but they both do the same amount of damage, or no, he does less damage in his tank form and takes less.
The two modes are just different movement modes. There's the one where
Oh, okay.
he jumps to move, the other one where he slides to move, and however fast he's going he does more damage. Kind of like Zarya, how she has the charge up when she absorbs damage into her shield. If he's going like high speed, he does more damage
Okay.
to his targets.
I mean, the only obvious thing here would be that would they have to code it? Would they be able to code it specifically into the character, or do you think that they would have to completely change like one of the baseline mechanics for movement?
I'm sure they could. If there's a problem like mechanically, it would probably be instituting, I guess, physics not to be client side. So if he's like bouncing off the walls like a hockey puck, that might be hard to code, because I think most physics are client side. If they made it like server side, that might be a problem for him.
Okay.
What do you think about having his ultimate be something like, in sumo there's always this circle, What if his ultimate was, it's basically setting this circle, but it's like either it's very hard to penetrate, like a Winston shield, or it's penetratable. Like everything that's outside is shut off. Like, for instance, Jarvan in League of Legends or something. And then he forces everyone in melee range, sort of,
Yeah.
And then you're caught in here with me.
That's awesome.
Like,
I like that. Yeah. You could be like
Sumo ring.
1v1 me, bro. Single someone out, grab them, and then bounce off the walls. Like fuck
He
them
could
up.
actually probably just like however long it lasts, just sit on the payload and just raise a ring in the payload.
I like that. That's way better than the slam idea. That's awesome.
That's interesting.
And then obviously there would be someone throwing rice, before every fight. This tradition? It was always weird to me. I always only watched it on Eurosport. And obviously, the only name I know is Yokozuna. Like, the only wrestler, I think he was quite popular for a while. And then there's always this referee, and before every fight he throws, rice in there. I think it's tradition or something.
It's so weird.
Maybe that could be another attack. Instead of have a
Rice?
slow melee, he throws rice, and he just kind of
Might
does
be
that.
that might be a bit racist. Just a bit racist.
Maybe.
Also, my African character would be like, really, dude? That's good rice, man. Like,
Wow. Okay. All right. That's an interesting character. An all melee character, especially movement based, is something I wanted to. I don't know. I didn't think about movement based because I don't know, but I know where you're coming from with that. Just because I know how old school FPS you are, but the melee thing is cool. I feel like the movement thing, while it would be cool in such a high skill cap, might be hard to implement. But it's still
Yeah.
cool. It's still cool. It'll be fun. All right. You're last, but not least. Hopefully not least. Put some passion
Probably
behind
least.
it.
Probably least. So yeah, basically what my idea was, I kind of shoehorned the theme onto the character. Like with a friend actually, I talked about a fun kit, and it's not my ideal idea of a fun kit, because what I'm currently feeling in Overwatch is I actually want more heroes with incredible depth, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not really what this character is, but it could be. Some mechanics are quite interesting with him. Anyway, without saying too much, his name would be so it's an African missionary priest, but he's gone sickly crazy. Now he's like something broke him,
Okay.
right? And now he's this crazy, almost scientist type of dude, and his name would be Amora, yeah, M and then squiggly and then aura. And so basically his left mouse button would be an acid blob, and he throws the acid blob, and it would both heal him a little bit.
Are you
and
saying acid?
Acid, yeah.
You said acid?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Is that how you guys pronounce it?
I guess, I don't know. Yeah, might be.
I'm sorry, that was rude. Continue.
No, it's fine. Actually, yeah. Okay. So heals him, deals damage too, and it's like a blob, and you throw it on the ground, and then it's a ground effect for a little while. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a zoning tool. Obviously, shouldn't be too hard, because it's a hard hybrid between a defense character and a support.
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of wanted to put a support in, but I feel like a lot of him is also a defense character. So his right click would be an adhesive. So you would throw it out. It's a different blob. It does no damage, but it sticks. And it makes people slow through that. Now, obviously, that's kind of shitty against characters that can travel vertically, right?
Yeah.
So what I thought was give it like a second cool thing. And it basically, you can throw it on the ground and he travels faster through that. And you can throw it onto walls, and then you can climb the walls because it's an adhesive, but also other characters will get stuck in the adhesive and get slowed also. For instance, you think about a Genji, you throw it against the wall, you want to escape, you go over the wall, and the Genji has a harder time climbing up because now, he's stuck. Yeah, that's his left and right mouse button. And then his E is a spirit link type of ability. So he basically shares 20% of the damage with his target, which is also interesting because I think it should also work on the opponent. So you put it on the opponent, and it he damages you and gets 20% back.
Okay.
It's like a ethereal rope sort of thing.
Yeah.
It should be very obvious what it looks like.
It doesn't have it has a break point, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's range. That's basically the way you counterplay around it.
Yeah.
And also, you put it onto your, for instance, Tracer, and if she runs too far off, now she's not getting any benefits. Then his shift would be that his Spirit Link would be twice as strong, and he also, because he has a passive that self-heals, it would basically increase his healing. Now, if you think about the character, okay, he Spirit Links, he gets a lot of damage because the other guy is tanking too, and he would then absorb, let's say, 100% even for 2 seconds, and then over 5 seconds he would receive the damage.
Okay.
Would need a little bit of a higher health pool, and but his deal is then to counteract that with his healing mechanics, right? With both his passive heal and his healing blobs. You know, the acid blobs of the left mouse click. And then the ultimate is a little bit of a problem because, well, there's two obvious things, like maybe the both chemicals could react with each other and do something, and stuff just explodes. But that's not very supporty, right? If you just frenetically just threw both bottles constantly onto one spot and all exploded something, that's not very supporty. So I thought about maybe if he takes both bottles, rams them together, and it's just a huge cloud that deals a little bit of damage, and like doesn't allow vision, like a smoke grenade or something.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, a smoke grenade.
I don't know if that should be able to be penetrable by enemies, or if it's just something, an effect that you put onto your point, and now your team can sort of hide behind it or in it,
I mean,
I
you
like
said that's his ultimate?
Yeah.
I like the idea of the smoke
That's
grenade.
strong, right?
Yeah.
I would. It would be kind of cool if if it's a friendly smoke grenade, when you look through it, you kind of get the the Hanzo type of like outline of the characters through it, so you could target them through the smoke and they can't do it to you. That'd be pretty cool. And very cool on defense.
Yeah.
I also do like the idea of like him just mixing chemicals and throwing them around. I guess it could be support, as in it would be a utility alt where it could just, if there's a big push coming, it could just kind of like throw people everywhere. Kind of like a defensive type of Winston alt, I guess.
Well, it's just going to keep people off the point because it's going to damage them over time while they're in it. And if you it would have to be a huge smoke screen, probably like the size Winston's bubble.
Yep.
And so it's just a huge smoke screen. They can't see through it. You can slightly see through it, but it damages just them, or it damages everybody.
Probably just the opponent. Otherwise, it would be pretty weak for an ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Be pretty trolly too.
Yeah. The glue is interesting, but I wonder if that would break, because as far as I know, the Hanzo and Genji like wall climb, that's like once you get on the wall, you're almost in rails. Like you get on and it just like shoots you up.
Yeah.
And it, like if you're able to put that on walls, it might be weird. I don't know.
How long does this goop that goes on surfaces last?
Probably not that long.
Okay.
Like long enough that you can travel yourself, and then maybe a second longer, someone tracks you.
So it's primarily like a combat type thing, and it's not something you could do for a match to like say alter how a map plays. Like you can't use it to lock off some sort of ingress on the other side for most of the map.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
It shouldn't be too spammy, that like because of how chokes work, it should probably also have a cooldown. Or like for instance, maybe like a tracer, you can throw 3 and then you have like a cooldown for 10 seconds or something.
Yeah.
So it's just not spammable onto one point, and people want to creep through the choke, but it doesn't quite work because they're slow. It should feel more like, an opportunistic thing. For instance, someone is chasing you, then you throw it on the ground, also throw your healing and damage thing, and then you keep kiting them away. Sort of like a cinched.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when you said the glue. Does the poison that you throw on the ground, does that have like a damage over time at all? Like lingering damage, or?
Yeah, that could actually be. Like, I think just exploring damage over times in general, I think the only damage over time currently in the game is Genji charge, I think.
Does that have a damage over time on it?
Isn't it like
It used
for a
to.
couple of seconds? Is it different now? Could be.
It used to give a bleed effect, and then it doesn't. I think the only damage over time is the Widow Mine right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that actually.
Totally true. Yeah. Yeah, and I think just in general, also that's why I thought about also the blowing dart thing, which could also be very interesting, right? In the culling, that's actually quite an interesting mechanic, because if you blow dart someone, he gets sick, and then after a while he has to throw up. So that's a CC.
Yeah.
And then he can run a bit, and then there's another throwing up, right? That's quite interesting if us blowing darts go. The only thing is, if you think about Blizzard tries to incorporate all these different FPS weapons, like there's railgun for Zarya, I guess. There's like shotguns for Reaper. Okay, that's actually the one where they doubled up with Roadhog, right? But then there's Farah, Rocket.
Technically, it's a flat cannon. It's not a shotgun.
Yeah.
And then there's
Plays
the
like a
Torbjorn shotgun too, which is
true.
not a
That's true.
shotgun. It's a
Yeah.
something.
I wonder if a blow dart, because it's probably well, depends. Like, I guess if an Omnic shoots it, then yeah, it could.
That's exactly why I made it a robot. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have a lot of power, and it wouldn't necessarily have to have drop off, of the projectile. Otherwise, it would very much feel like Hanzo,
Yeah, no, I didn't plan. I don't want drop up at all on the blow dart. That's why I made it an Omnic, because I thought about that. I was like, well, it's kind of like a blow dart. Kind of seems like a weak weapon, but if it's basically like a robot just chain firing blow darts at you, makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of, 21 characters. I guess there's 3 double ups with a shotgun, even though Torbjorn is a little different, I guess, because it's like his left click is probably the main thing, and it has a little bit of drop off. But other than that, they try to really explore all the FPS mechanics, and I really thought hard about what are we missing actually.
Is there any other mechanics besides the guns, like any mechanics you think that would work in an FPS without damaging it too much, as far as like it's like bringing it over from maybe like a MOBA inspired ability? Or
I was actually thinking a fighting game type of like blocking, like active blocking. There's some of that with like shields. And
what about what if there's like a riot shield? Well, we have Reinhardt.
Yeah. I think for a fighting game type of feel, Zarya is really close because she can kind of block reflexively some attacks and capitalize on that. It would be cool to see something more along that lines that was more intimate, one versus one type of situations that mirrored fighting games.
What about someone who collected trophies? Like the more kills or the more, I guess, takedowns they got, their gun would evolve over time. Like
the TF2 Highlander. If you don't know, the Highlander was more people you killed with the Highlander, the faster you went, the more health you got. Yeah, that was always fun for me to play, and it was neat.
I wonder if it's too snowbally. Then it's inherently snowbally, right?
But, but I mean, if you die, if you kill the person, then like they lose X number of stacks or whatever.
Yeah, you shouldn't add too much to the survivability of the character then, and you should probably, like, if there's a snowball character, he should be someone that should be close, so he's killable, and I actually also thought about that.
I wouldn't want a snowball character to be like a tracer. That would be terrible.
Oh no!
Trying to kill a tracer that's had snowball ability.
Yeah.
Plus, the person playing that would be annoying as hell in a pub setting because they would just run away the whole time and just get like 4 or 5 picks in a match and try to capitalize on that.
I mean, in a way, every character is this a little bit because of how Ultimate's built, right? Yeah. So it's kind of, you get the trophies, but I actually thought like that could be a cool thing that's just, capitalizing. Maybe also you pick up, Torbjorn gathers scrap, then Reaper gathers these blood orbs. What if what if the pickup was more aggressive, right? It was more like, okay, you get 5 more shots into your ammo, and that kind of increases your power level, or something like this, right?
I mean, there's so many ideas. I honestly, there's probably, I don't know, is there not a beta or beta forum or like hero suggestions or something like that on Reddit?
Yeah, there has to be. There's Overwatch Hero Concepts, I think it's called.
Well,
And funnily enough, they had a paintball character, it's the highest voted, I think,
really?
which had and the paintball character is like he has this blinding thing. You know, if you score a headshot with a blinding thing, then the vision is like for 1 second. That was actually quite interesting.
I actually, I'm gonna have to check that out. I didn't even check that out beforehand because I might have any one of us could have doubled up on a character that they're like, oh, we heard that before, man. It was already on the subreddit. You just copied it.
Yeah.
But
That was
I like how our characters are a little bit of rock paper scissors of each other. I have this melee character that's speed. You have someone that like stops speed pretty much, would pretty much stop them and shut them down.
mm-hmm.
And Trypps has the blow guy that could kind of shut down the guy shutting down the areas.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. You obviously can't mess with it too much, but I want to try to like input like stealth or a shimmer effect, something to that effect into Overwatch. I don't know how much that would, affect the gameplay, but
I think a lot of people would hate it.
I have really strong
everybody
feelings.
hates stealth in games, period.
Yeah.
It's one of those mechanics where it's only fun for one person in the whole
Yeah.
match. It's only one person's only having fun. Everybody else is like, this sucks. That's my feeling about stealth. Same thing for the most part for sniping. It's kind of the same thing.
It's also so experience dependent. If you think about Heroes of the Storm, the Nova character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Heroes
Like-
of the Storm is different because if you're invisible in Heroes of the Storm, you can literally see them
Yeah,
walking
exactly.
by, like they're just like see-through models. Where in like Dota or World of Warcraft or something, if you're stealth, you're literally invisible. You cannot be
Oh, yeah.
clicked or anything.
Yeah. So Shimmer, there's difference between stealth and Shimmer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But Shimmer is always like, okay, if I've seen Shimmer enough, I would just be able to tell that the person is there just as much
Mhm.
as if he was a normal character model. So
Mm.
it would have to be.
Yes, with experience, but at the same time, if you're just going and you're going, you might see that shimmer if it crosses your path. But if they're like on the edge of your screen like that,
Yeah.
it's,
Okay, yeah, that's true.
I don't know. In TF2, they did a pretty good job with the cloak for the spy, and you could always see the spy whenever he moved, no matter what graphic settings or whatever. You could notice and you'd be like, "There's a spy," unless they had ample time to cloak and were like fully cloaked. Same thing with like the Halo games too. The cloak was a shimmer. You could see the shimmer.
That's why I think shimmer might be more or less anti-fun than stealth would be.
Yeah.
Okay. We're kind of trailing off here as far as the character creation goes. Do we have much to say about competitive?
Be interesting to see what happens this weekend. That's guess you could say that. I have been enjoying the meta, as Yiska said earlier. It's pretty fun to watch. It's a lot more fun to watch than like two monkeys, holding electric guns and just making Venn diagrams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of fun to watch, and I kind of hope whatever happens next is still fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I notice in these debates is always there's two fields. Like the one wants variety of picks, and also like a lot of competitive players have actually been advocating against this picking multiple characters problem, right?
Really?
It's not even that some think it's overpowered and it's hard to balance, but that doesn't make logical sense to me. Like, at least it hasn't been proven that that's the case, right? The fact that two Zenyattles are played and two Genjis or two Traces are played is not because like two of them are overpowered. Like one of them would be overpowered.
Yeah.
Yeah, in combination. Like Zenyatta Genji, even if there was a hero limit, it would still be overpowered. It would still dominate games. Maybe not to the same extent.
Yeah.
Okay, in these cases, limiting character picks, that's a little harder. In any other case, someone is playing two characters, play two counters. Now, the problem is currently, if there is not a counter to a character or to a combo like Genji Zenyatta, then that's on these two characters, not about the picking system. But I think in general it kind of forces people enjoy variety in their comps. They want to see different picks. They don't want to see necessarily the uber cheese with like, I don't know. I think people, for instance, complained a lot about Diva spam, in the beta phase 1.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think it's about, like, some people want, the absolute strategic depth of maybe I want 2 picks, maybe I want 3 picks to counter a specific thing, and other want the variety. So in order to, really show all the skill sets of all these characters and also make some of them viable, because let's be real, like, because you can pick 2 characters of one, it automatically zones out characters that are a little bit worse, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, if Zenyatta is the best healer, but I can't pick 2 Zenyatas, then maybe I'm picking a Mercy. But if I can pick 2 Zenyatas, then we will see no Mercy, right?
Yeah.
So there's that argument. And yeah, I think there's merit to both sides. But
The only problem is that, like, people are wanting, such a huge variety of characters. Like, we want everyone to be viable. Like, why is Mei not in competitive? Why is, why can't we see her in competitive? But the fact of the matter is that it's just nature that some heroes are gonna be good and some are gonna be shit. They just won't be competitively viable. And if you tweak too much, then boom, Mei's the best character in the game and somebody else is on the bottom.
I wish
exactly what happened to Zenyatta, right? We were saying that in beta phase 1, we were saying on this podcast, if something changes, Zenyatta might be the most OP thing because of Discord. Something changed, Mercy is not as powerful anymore, Zenyatta is the best character, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly the nature. And then again, balance changes is not only about fixing the most powerful characters, it is a novelty thing too. Novelty?
Yeah.
Novelty, sorry. That people want, the new experience. People want to figure out the new meta.
People
to play
want
the new meta.
like, they want every couple months they just go, oh, give me the new rule book. Like,
yeah,
we want the same characters, but just tweak everybody around, and we're gonna play a different game.
Yeah. Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's just from the MOBA mindset. I mean, even now, Dota is 11, 12 years old, like the actual game creation itself. That game is really close to balanced, but still, there's just characters that just don't get played.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it could just come, a couple patches and one character's played nonstop, and then a patch hits and you don't see him again for 6 months.
Like every single game I can think of that has some competitive scene that happens, there's always the characters that just can't be viable for whatever reason. It just happens.
Yeah.
I wish when Blizzard approached this sort of balance thing, they instead of nerfing Zenyatta, I wish they kind of spent a little bit more time on trying to develop counters for this style. I feel like they tried with Mei, and I think they tried with Zarya. They're kind of like the natural counters to a Genji and sort of a Tracer, but it just didn't stick. It didn't take for whatever reason. Yeah. They're probably just not the correct tool to counter that play.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, Winston should in theory also be a counter. Reality of the situation is, depending on the map layout, Winston jumps in, like Zenyatta fires 3 shots with Discord, 2 of them headshot, dead Winston, right?
Yep.
And then obviously a lot of people are helping Zenyatta too with a Discord on the Winston. He's like, yeah, it's not working. And the question then was, is he doing too much damage or is Discord doing too much damage? Probably both, right? Then there was a lot of concern in the competitive community about spam in this game. Like, everyone's just spamming. Like, for instance, Zenyatta is just shooting at head height into choke points and randomly headshotting people.
Is that because of the no, like, bottom of the clip? Like, there's no ammo capacity, basically?
Well,
I mean, first off, he has 20 shots, right?
Yeah.
And there's unlimited ammo. There's no... we had this discussion about receiving damage and Vultcha was receiving damage. That was a mechanic that kept spam in check. Now there's no such thing. There's no almost no drawback to just spamming away, other than getting to the end of your clip when the enemy engages. If they can find this opening, yeah, but it's not that exploitable in Overwatch.
I think I'm kind of split on the whole spam debate because I mean I'm like an older school guy, and most of those older school games are super spam. And to me, spam isn't a bad word. Spam equals area denial, or spam equals just removing resources.
Yeah.
So you know, in like Quake, you basically have unlimited ammo for some things like rockets. You can always find rockets on maps, and you can always spam corridors and just deny a corridor if you want and spam it, and eventually, you know, just sneak your way to some rockets. And this is prevalent in high level play. So to me, it's kind of weird to hear people say, I don't like spam. Spam is bad, because I'm like, I don't get that. It's kind of like almost like a viewpoint type of thing. To me, it's not a negative thing. It's just a simple tactic.
Yeah. I just think people they see something happening, it's annoying to deal with, and it's working, but they don't want to find a workaround or find, you know, that thing that beats it. They just it's hard to beat, so they complain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. And to be fair, to not discredit them entirely, it's also on the map layouts in Overwatch, because this
Yeah.
is not a problem in every single map. But if you think, what's it, Anubis, first point, like that choke's the only entrance.
Yeah.
If you're spamming into that, then what are you going to do, right?
What if
That's
they
true.
opened up? What if they opened up you when you go in Anubis and you go to the left right after the entrance? What if they opened that up?
Well, I'd like to see more
Yeah.
vertical play in general on most of the maps.
Vertical.
I mean, a
Yep.
lot of the play really is ground level or one level above ground level, and then you know the buffers. There's like rooms in the buffers way off on the sides, and that's obviously for sniping. I guess that's why I like the Ilios maps, because there's a lot of vertical play on those maps. I
Yeah.
really wish they would bring that into Anubis. I think would benefit greatly from like more verticality in the first
Yeah.
point.
I think it's actually also going to change a little bit in the way the meta shapes up. I think Pharah is going to see a comeback. Mercy then obviously also.
Yeah.
And then you already have more people, you know, contesting vertically. Then we have seen some insane Widow play, which, like the way it's played with the, you know, kangaroo fuck you,
Yeah.
is vertical contests, right? And she also moves vertically a lot. So, yeah, I think, and in general, I think Widow. I don't know. Did you see this Taimu highlights on
Yes.
the dude? Like where people were actually like thinking about if he was cheating, right? Like that, but quite important, obviously, with Mercy. That's also one thing that most people miss, that his the load up time was obviously greatly increased by the damage boost of Mercy, right? But yeah, in general, that was pretty sick play. It makes me actually excited about the potential of Widow. Also because it was Widow against the best team in the world offensively. Like, yeah, that was actually against IDDQD in the scrim, I think. So pretty sick. Yeah.
All right. Other than that, we're reaching about capacity as far as I can tell. I don't think we have too much other to talk about. We just want to do a little bit of a specialty episode this week. Do you guys have any other big hurrahs you want to talk about?
I mean, there's the one thing that also happened between the last cast and this one is the short, you know, the recall thing.
Oh yeah, the recall animation short. It was really cool. I thought it was a little bit cheesy, but it's an animation, so you know, it did explain a little bit, but it's the whole honestly, it's kind of the whole like, all right, Winston took like 4 or 5 shotguns to the chest. How is he not like at least wounded? But it's a cartoon.
Yeah. There was a thread on the forums complaining about that Reaper is not at all like he's in the game, and Blizzard is lying to us.
Yeah.
Like, he should be changed based on the trailer. He should be able to, you know, ride his, you know, fog cloud
Just,
too high.
just
And
Oh, just like no,
flying
no
around.
clip, just like
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's like a meme right now in the Discord. Like when people try to, there was also one with Hanzo, where someone tried to argue against scatter shot or for scatter shot changes, because basically, Hanzo is like this well practiced, like super ninja, and obviously everything is very accurate. And then to rely on RNG is not at all at lore. And
mean.
everything, like every time now someone has an issue with balance, obviously because of numbers for Zenyatta or something, they always come up with this bullshit lore story how we can, for the casual plebs, how we can wrap this around. Yeah, and Zenyatta cannot do this with his orbs because his orbs are like blah blah blah. He like his lore doesn't match up, and that's why
Yeah.
they need to come back to him or something. Like it's well memed, let's
Yeah.
say.
But as far as the biggest thing that I got out of the trailer was the very end of it, revealing all the character profiles.
Yeah.
And that's what did inspire me to come up with this episode, or the question for this episode. And there's a lot. There's like 10-ish, I think, characters. There's a couple of robots, and there's actually one towards the end. It's the red, like almost Reinhardt looking robot. But if you look at the picture compared to all the other pictures, it's like they scanned in like a pencil drawing for anyone that has seen it.
Yeah.
And then there's one where there's like a robot and he has like a fish head and like
Yeah,
one eyeball.
Yep.
He
I'm
looks
actually
like
excited about him.
He looks like a Warframe character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
I got a thought about the trailer. Winston's scientist father, I guess.
Mhm.
Boy, doesn't he look like Jeff Kaplan?
I guess I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
He really does to me. Yeah.
Yeah, in a way.
Conspiracy talk there.
I mean, it was cool, and I hope that they come out with more, as well as, didn't they say they were doing a comic book?
I think should be something like this. Yeah.
I hope so. I like that. I need more shit to hang up, I think.
I don't know. I actually quite enjoy those. I also did in for TF2. The
oh
what's
yeah,
it called?
those were meet the
Yeah.
those
Meet the-
ones.
yeah.
I actually liked those better. They were more like
Oh,
centered on the character and really like were funny and illustrated the characters.
but I think they were also like, if you watch some of the very first ones, they got way better like towards the end of them. So I'll give Blizzard a chance. Hopefully they can add a little bit more like funniness and stop the, I guess that was a horrible, not funniness, add a little bit more comedy to it. Whereas right now it's kind of like the serious, like, here's the lore, bro, like, get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable a little bit because I'm not into the lore and I kind of like look at it kind of funny. And if it can't take itself as a joke and takes itself overly seriously, it's kind of like weird to me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of approaching that level for the Overwatch. As much as I enjoy the art style, I'm like,
Yeah. All right. Nothing else?
Nope.
Nothing huge? Does anybody got anything going on? Anything you're writing, Yiska, or life too busy?
Yeah, still have been also some unfortunate things in private life happening, and it doesn't leave me with a lot of time. I mean, I'm playing a little bit of Rust right now with a couple of friends. I actually just got a message that we're being raided right now, so
so you're itching to get away.
Yeah, I don't have any more topics to talk about.
Okay. As far as me goes, no, I got a decent tech job recently, so I've been working long hours and doing my shenanigans. So
Fixing office for middle-aged women.
Exactly. And elderly people and people who don't know what they're buying. I mean, that's a lie. People understand. I'm being overly dramatic, but it's a tech support job. So you know what you're getting into.
Yep.
Vultcha, you got anything going on?
not too much. I'm gonna do some streaming. Like I said last time, I need people to help me like make content where I test stuff. I still can't get people that stick around and play the game long enough because I don't know why. Or either that or they don't like me. They think I'm an asshole. And they're like, I'm out of here. This fucker wants to shoot me in the head for a whole video. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, any of you guys, you're watching right now and you are in the beta, hit me up. And I really want to make some videos. The only holdback for me is manpower. Other than that, I'll be doing some streaming here and there. I don't stream regularly, but I do when I can.
Yeah. I'm glad though that we can, besides last week because my time constraints affected the episode, but other than that, we're still here. We're still here every week at least. Some of the other stuff, it especially when you're, when you got a full like life outside of creating content can be hard. Especially not even creating content you're happy with is hard.
Yeah.
But not to cry about how easy it is to make internet videos and type on a keyboard. Other than that, I think one of the things I do want to hear from you guys as far as the comment sections go on Reddit and YouTube would be pitch your own character. Don't just go and copy paste something from the other subreddit that we talked about because it's just rude. I mean, if you have to, if you're just like, I don't know what to do, I guess you could just change it up, tweak it up a bit, like copyright laws, just change a couple letters around, switch the words, and good, right? Yeah, I think we're cool. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're actually getting really close to, I think, 50 subscribers, which is a minute amount, but it's a nice milestone. So continue on doing what you guys do. Share with some friends. If you guys like the videos, like them. If you don't, dislike it. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. It's constructive criticism is never a bad thing as long as it's constructive. Look it up if you don't know what that means. Other than that, guys, I think we're all set for this week. Hopefully we have a nice, fun episode for you guys next week as well, unless some huge patch drops and we got to cover that. But from everybody here at Watchpoint, we will see you next week and have a good night.
Bye-bye.